The One Piece is drowning. No, really, I'm not kidding. And as the story is creeping slowly towards its finale, my heretic mind has come up with a wild idea that might become a reality going forward in the series. What would the outcome of Luffy's top 3 officers versus the Admirals be at this point? Let's find out. Now, by the top 3 officers, I obviously mean Nami, Usopp, and Chopper versus the Admirals. Just kidding. I'm referring to an amazing 3 versus 3 battle between Zoro, Jinbe, and Sanji versus the new Admirals, Aramaki, Fujitora, and Kizaru. But before we begin the fight, we have to analyze the standings of all the Admirals and the commanders one by one, ranking them somewhere between the 1 and 100 level, wherein a Yonko level character like Kaido sits at 100. Right now, the strongest among all 6 of the characters is obviously going to be Zoro, who has achieved a new level of finesse by squandering his latest victim, Rob Lucy, without even wearing his headband, which truly is a testament to his strength. With his Conqueror's Haki awakened, Zoro shows a lot of promise to become a class act in the final saga. However, there's still a lot of foes he cannot handle at his current level, so I'd like to give him a comfortable level of 90. Up next from the opponent's faction is the almighty fraud, and certainly the worst character design out of all the Admirals so far, Aramaki. Now, my man was literally mogged by Shanks' Bluetooth Haki at the end of Wano, but we did see his potential against the Scabbards and Yamato, who were having a tough time handling him. And with the uncertainties that come with his Logia powers, he could comfortably sit at the 80 level mark right now. Swimming through the chaos is our next character, Jinbe, who is now actually worth more than Sanji in terms of bounty. But that is not the case due to his strength, but rather due to his standing as the former ally of Big Mom and the captain of the Sun Pirates, who, logically speaking, is a bigger threat than Sanji. But we're talking about just raw strength here. Therefore, in a neutral environment, given that Jinbe has no access to the sea, he'd stand comfortably at the 85 mark, given his fight against Who's Who, which was completely lopsided once Jinbe displayed his excellent fishman karate. Next up is a substantial threat from the Navy, whose unwillingness to fight puts him in his own way at times. Yes, I'm talking about Kizaru. With Kizaru holding his own for a long time against Gear 5 Luffy in the latest arcs, it is safe to say that he's at least much closer to Yonko level than Aramaki. And if I were to rank him based on his feats so far, I'd put him at 85. But coming towards Sanji, who freakishly stopped a laser from Kizaru with his bare feet and knocked the lights out of a Gorosei while surviving a bite from the latter, has me thinking he's catching up to Zoro faster than expected. His Germa abilities have started kicking in as his body enhancement is reaching its peak. And who knows, he might be able to surpass even his siblings in terms of body reinforcement and be able to take the best out of both worlds. So we'll rank Sanji at 88 for now. And finally, on to the last competitor in today's bout. Fujitora is really a beast, as we've previously seen his fight with Zoro in the Stampede movie, wherein he summoned a freaking asteroid from space and tossed it towards Zoro. And if it wasn't for Mihawk, every person on the battlefield would have been crushed like ants. So finally, the matchup would be as follows: Fujitora versus Zoro, round 2, Sanji versus Kizaru, and Jinbe versus Aramaki. Now, once the fight between Fujitora and Zoro begins, the surroundings are going to look like a Master Chef reality show because things are going to get diced to literal smithereens. However, it is not going to go as it did in the Stampede because Zoro is much stronger now, and most of Fujitora's lower level Haki feats would be easily countered by Zoro's Conqueror's Haki, which will prove to be much more menacing for Fujitora. But I'll explain it later as to how. In any case, The battle would come down to skills initially after both swordsmen exhaust their lower level attacks, with Zoro proving to be faster than Fujitora's abilities to cast his gravitational powers, as Fujitora has yet to display any feats that prove that he's faster than Zoro. This will put Fujitora in the backseat, as he'll have to parry each and every attack coming at him, along with the ever-increasing force of Zoro's Conqueror's Haki. And now, I know what you guys are thinking. Why doesn't Fujitora just summon a giant meteor once again? Well, to all my viewers, I'd like to say just one thing. Even if Fujitora does summon a space rock, he has nowhere to run, and he's not fast enough to do so. If he pulls a meteor, he'll die as well if it were to hit the surface, or the situation could go even worse, wherein Zoro would be forced to take out Fujitora in a precise attack, which I believe Zoro is currently capable of. So you get the gist of where this is going. Zoro is going to literally open Fujitora's eyes in amazement, as he definitely want to witness his own defeat. Next up is the fight between Kizaru and the naughty and considerably hot Sanji from the live action cook of the Straw Hats, Vinsmoke Sanji. Okay, wait, let me do that again, otherwise I might fall victim to the Black Leg. The amazing cook of the Straw Hats, Black Leg Sanji, is definitely not a Vinsmoke. In any case, this fight would solely take place in the air, as Kizaru would like to maintain his distance from Sanji and attack while creating space between the two, while Sanji would do his best to close down the distance and rain fire on the Admiral. In the end, it would boil down to who was faster. With Kizaru's recent matchup with Luffy, his display of speed was absolutely amazing, but from what I've collected from that battle, there is a limit to it, and Kizaru cannot stay at light speed perpetually for the entirety of the fight, which was clearly displayed by his lack of speed once his island-long kick failed against Luffy, and he was no longer that fast once he started tag teaming with Saturn. Therefore, Sanji might be able to get the upper hand on a few occasions, but in blunt terms, I really don't believe Sanji has what it takes to win here, even with Kizaru fighting half-heartedly. With Kizaru's Logia abilities, he can always scatter and escape Sanji's pursuit and counter with a barrage of lightning beams, which, much to Sanji's credit, he can deflect with his body. However, even with Sanji's Ifrit Jinbe, dealing a final blow to the Admiral almost seems next to impossible. This would turn into a cat and mouse chase, wherein the winner would be the one who doesn't get exhausted first, which is the least of Kizaru's worries. However, seeing the nature of every fight Sanji has fought after the time skip, whether it be Virgo, Doflamingo, Judge, or even Queen, none of them have been extremely technical in terms of Sanji's skills, and most of them were reduced to the strength in his legs. Therefore, even after being ranked about 3 levels higher previously in the video, I believe Sanji would ultimately lose this bout, as Kizaru is just not a very good match for him as an opponent. Now, coming towards the final haul of the 3v3, Luffy's Seafood versus Aramaki. Just kidding. Jinbe, the first son of the sea, versus Aramaki, the weakest admiral. Okay, now I know that I put genuine disrespect on Aramaki's name, given that he might even have a god fruit, and that he was shamed by an actual Yonko and not a nobody, as he was holding his own quite well against the Scabbards. However, his battle with Jinbe would certainly be interesting, given that this matchup might not have come in your wildest dreams, and is totally a fringe idea that I concocted right out of my ass last night while sleeping with my boa baby pillow. However, Aramaki really has a wide range of attacks, whether we see it in terms of how he uses his powers, or even in terms of how destructive they are. In theory, Jinbe would have to annihilate the entire natural surroundings around him just to root out Aramaki and finish him off using his Araman Haki. But, as always, these fights are better said than done. The debate for stamina and battle endurance would be applicable here as well. While I believe the fight would be stretched to a long duration due to Jinbe's extreme low usage of Haki due to his Fishman Karate and minimalistic moves, while Aramaki can literally become one with his surroundings. All in all, this fight would be extremely catastrophic. with Jinbe getting jumped early on and him going on the barefoot while dealing with him. The only way Jinbe seems to push against the odds with the Admiral would be through an insane power-up, so bear with me for 1 second. I believe my man has been suffering a lot since the Marineford arc, and he literally is due for an extremely cool power-up. I mean, Oda owes it to him. So I'm really going to double down on Jinbe, figuring something out in the nick of time before Aramaki gets to him and awakens an insane power-up that would put him on par with Sanji and Zoro in terms of destructive capabilities. And also, we're forgetting about the fact that if even a small body of seawater is present in the vicinity, Jinbe could easily switch the situation in his favor and start winning the battle, as even a bit of seawater hinders the ability of fruit users. And if we talk about a literal seaside battle, Aramaki is going to drown right then and there because Jinbe would be in his natural habitat that supports his strength, while Aramaki would be at a massive disadvantage. Therefore, I'd really like to give a verdict on this 3v3 fight right now. As things stand, the Straw Hat Commanders would come out snatching the victory with a slight edge. Do drop a like if you liked our analysis, and comment on what you want us to do for our next one. See ya!